Hey basketball guys, we have news. Let's go to more Los Angeles Lakers news, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. The playoffs are approaching and the Lakers want to do well and make it to the Western Conference Finals. Coach Redick has been analyzing the players and some of them will not be part of the rotation in the playoffs. If they are healthy, the names that will be the starters and the rotation will be LeBron James, Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, Jackson Hayes, and Dorian Finney-Smith as starters. On the bench we will have Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent, Jordan Goodwin, and there will still be room for one more player to join the rotation, as there are 15 players under contract. Coach Redick will decide which other player will be part of the rotation, that is, if they are all healthy. The other players will only have opportunities if necessary. 3 players who have already been part of the rotation or were starters are at serious risk of being left out of the playoffs. Coach Redick will leave some players out of the playoffs and Dalton Netsch is in danger of not being part of the rotation. These 3 Los Angeles Lakers veteran players are clearly on thin ice as Redick's team continues to march toward the NBA playoffs. It's hard to believe it, but the 2024-25 NBA playoffs are almost here. The Los Angeles Lakers are in a good spot to make some noise this postseason, as a 46-29 record has them sitting in the Western Conference's number 4 spot as of April 2, leaving them just 2.5 games back of the Houston Rockets for second place. In other words, the next few weeks will be crucial for the Lakers to build momentum before the playoffs. Although some players are more than doing their part in head coach Redick's lineup, others' recent play has left much to be desired. Multiple underperformers could be left out of the postseason rotation if that doesn't change. Here's a look at 3 Lakers who are currently on thin ice amid the team's playoff push. Alex Len. As exciting as it was to acquire Luka Doncic in February, trading Anthony Davis away to the Dallas Mavericks, combined with the failed Williams trade, left the Lakers with a razor-thin backcourt. The Lakers had no choice but to use a roster spot on free agent Alex Len. Len was waived by the Washington Wizards after being traded to the nation's capital by the Sacramento Kings. Even though he's never been the best player at his position, Los Angeles had faith in Len to hold down the frontcourt. After all, he's a former 5th overall selection who's played around 700 games between the NBA regular season and playoffs in the last 12 years. Anyone following the Lakers since the signing knows how bad Len has been. The Ukrainian big man is only putting up 2.0 points and 3.2 rebounds while playing 12 minutes per outing, also shooting an abysmal 44.4% from the field. He's finished with a negative plus-minus rating in 7 of his 9 appearances and hasn't been trusted enough to play since March 23. Barring an injury somewhere else in the lineup, there's no reason to increase Len's playing time. The 31-year-old center is clearly beyond his prime and isn't a good fit for the Lakers, and dressing him for meaningful games, especially in the playoffs, could do more harm than good. Len will likely be inactive more often than not as he collects the remainder of his salary before looking for a new playing opportunity in free agency. Dalton Knecht. There was plenty of buzz surrounding Dalton Knecht heading into the 2024-25 campaign. The 2024 17th overall pick appeared to have all the tools to be the sharpshooting presence the Lakers needed, and he initially lived up to the hype by averaging 9.4 points and 1.6 threes made while shooting 46.5% from the floor and 35.8% from deep in his first 48 appearances. Unfortunately, Knecht's performance has trended downhill since February. The Lakers attempted to move the former Tennessee Volunteer to the Charlotte Hornets before the trade deadline. However, the deal was rescinded once center Mark Williams failed to pass a physical exam, keeping a now uncomfortable Knecht in LA. The 23-year-old wing initially struggled after returning to the lineup. However, his performance improved in early March. That didn't last long, though, as Knecht is now averaging only 2.3 points per game while playing just over 6 minutes of action in his last half-dozen outings. He's only played more than 7 minutes once during that stretch, making it clear that Redick doesn't have much faith in his abilities. If he wants to reverse course, Knecht must capitalize on every second of playing time he sees. He doesn't have the benefit of having a proven postseason track record that some of his teammates have, meaning he must use the rest of the regular season to prove why he belongs in Redick's playoff plans. Shake Milton. After beginning the 2024-25 season with the Brooklyn Nets, Shake Milton was traded to the Lakers as a part of the December deal that also involved Dorian Finney-Smith. The hope was that the former SMU product could bring some extra experience to Los Angeles's backcourt while playing under Redick, who is a former Philadelphia 76ers teammate of his from 2018-19. While some players might step up when going from basement dweller to a playoff contender, that hasn't been the case for Milton. The 28-year-old's performance has worsened since leaving Brooklyn, averaging 7.4 points per game on .465/.389/.758 splits in 27 games with the Nets to 3.8 ppg and .450/.300/.850 splits across 26 outings in a Lakers jersey. Although a drop in minutes has played a role in his declining production, Milton's -3.0 offensive box plus-minus with the Lakers shows that Redick is making the smart decision in limiting his minutes. As April begins, it's clear that Milton is firmly in the Lakers' doghouse. The Owasso, Oklahoma native hasn't touched the floor since a 146-115 loss to the Chicago Bulls on March 22, having ridden the bench for 5 straight games since then. Unless he finds a way to convince Redick to give him more playing time, Milton will likely be riding the pine in the playoffs, too. LeBron James talks willingness to sacrifice for Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. When the Los Angeles Lakers made the blockbuster trade that landed them Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks, it was clear that the team's game plan was going to be altered significantly. And one of the biggest changes was that, for arguably the first time in 22 years, LeBron James would not be the number one option on his own team. Some wondered if LeBron would be able to adapt to an off-ball role, or if it would become a stagnant isolation game that trades off between him and Luka. The early returns are not only that LeBron transitioned into an off-ball role for Doncic, but he seems to be doing so for Austin Reeves as well. In less than 2 months, James has become essentially the perfect role player, while Doncic and Reeves drive the bus. He spoke about this transition with Steve Nash in the first episode of the new version of the Mind the Game podcast. Nash was highly complimentary of James' ability to quickly shift into being a catch-and-shoot, short roll-type player as opposed to being the engine of the offense. That's a role Nash never fully transitioned to and something he's seen star players fail to do firsthand, especially when he was the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. But he was most impressed with James' ability to know that it was his responsibility to do that in order to make this iteration of the Lakers work. A superstar's ability to recognize when he needs to defer directly correlates to how long they can extend their careers. And if the Lakers want to win a championship this season, LeBron knows it starts with him choosing that transition and allowing Doncic, and even Reeves, to lead the way and get the bulk of the defensive attention. LeBron James wants Lakers to play with urgency. The Lakers amassed back-to-back major victories over the Memphis Grizzlies and the Houston Rockets over their last 2 games. LeBron James and company put themselves in great position to avoid the play-in tournament and fight for seeding at the top of the Western Conference with wins over 2 other top conference opponents. The even more impressive part is that they won both games in completely different ways. The win over the Grizzlies was an offensive battle that required 134 points from LA with all 3 of James, Doncic and Reeves scoring 25 or more. Against a gritty Rockets team on Monday, the Lakers' defense held tough, limiting them to 98 points. Doncic led the way with 20 points. LeBron spoke after the win, saying that the Lakers need to continue playing with urgency over the final 7 games of the regular season. Dwayne Wade explains how J.J. Redick can make Luka Doncic a better defender. NBA Hall of Famer Dwayne Wade explained how the Los Angeles Lakers coaching staff, led by J.J. Redick, can make Luka Doncic a better defender. Doncic was never known for his defensive abilities during his Dallas Mavericks stint, but the Lakers are a team with a bigger focus on that side of the ball. During Tuesday's episode of the WY Network, the 3-time NBA champion discussed defensive rotations, strategy, and effort. He mentioned players who were incredible on offense but weak links on defense. Doncic came up as an example, which prompted Wade to explain how the guard could improve. Enter Luka with the Lakers, Wade said. JJ and his staff has to teach Luka how to be a better defender. And this doesn't mean he needs to be locked down. Kyle Korver, who was one of the best defenders I played against, and he couldn't guard me one-on-one, but he understood how to guard me with a system. I look at Luka and we all know that Luka is amazing with the basketball, he's magical. But we also know he has some liabilities on the defensive end of the floor. Before entering a dark period between March 20th and March 27th, the Lakers were one of the best defensive teams in the league, even with Doncic on the court. The Slovenian player credited the team's success to their communication on defense. After losing 4 of 5 games over that span, they appear to be back on the right track, beating the Memphis Grizzlies and Houston Rockets in their most recent matchups. The 104-98 win against the Rockets was the first time they held an opponent to less than 100 points since March 16, 107-96 against the Phoenix Suns. Lakers' LeBron James admits it's hard to ignore tight playoff race. Riding high on a league-best 10-game win streak, the 63-12 Oklahoma City Thunder have firmly established their hierarchical place as the Western Conference's #1 seed, even with 7 games remaining on their regular season schedule. Oklahoma City paces the West's current #2 seed, the 49-27 Houston Rockets, by a whopping 14.5 games. But that's where things get interesting. Only 5.5 games separate the Rockets from the conference's #8 seed, the 43-32 LA Clippers. The 46-29 Los Angeles Lakers, who just vanquished Houston 104-98 on Tuesday, are just 2.5 games behind the Rockets for the #2 seed, and a single game shy of catching the #3-seeded Denver Nuggets, 47-28. Los Angeles's victory against Houston marked its 7th consecutive home win over the Rockets. 5-time All-NBA first-team Lakers guard Luka Doncic probably enjoyed the play of the game with this deadly crossover against Rockets all-star big man Alperen Sengun. As Broderick Turner of the Los Angeles Times observes, Lakers players are hardly immune to keeping tabs on the West standings as the postseason looms. This year in particular, it's so close and people are jumping each other, falling behind. Whatever the case may be, 21-time All-Star Lakers power forward LeBron James said of the West standings. I don't do it every day, but it's talked about pretty much all the time and you kind of see where you're at. For us obviously, our mission is to lock in a playoff spot and not have to play in the play-in. So, we understand what's at stake. Against the Rockets, reserve 3-and-D Los Angeles forward Dorian Finney-Smith notched a season-high 20 points, including 6 of 11 shooting from distance, and played surprisingly adept defense of 6'11" backup Rockets center Steven Adams. It feels good when guys like All-NBA first-team Lakers guard Doncic and LeBron are telling me to shoot, Finney-Smith said. It could be the other way around. Finney-Smith conceded that he, too, is tracking the playoff race in the West. Everybody is paying attention. Let's be honest, Finney-Smith noted when asked about following the league standings. Everybody is looking at the standings. We don't want to be in the play-in, so every game matters. Analyst says Lakers will regret making one recent trade decision. The Lakers' new-look roster has promise and potential, and many people still feel they can make a deep run in this season's playoffs, despite their recent struggles. However, it is an incomplete roster. Their center rotation is weak, which has forced Jackson Hayes, an excellent backup, to be their starting 5, and it has also forced them to go small for the majority of every game. Los Angeles tried to rectify this problem shortly after the Luka Doncic trade by agreeing to a deal in which it would have given up Dalton Knecht, Cam Reddish, a 2031 first-round draft pick and a 2030 pick swap for Mark Williams, a young, ascending center for the Charlotte Hornets. But the trade was rescinded when Williams' physical reportedly showed multiple concerning issues. During a recent appearance on Bill Simmons' podcast, NBA reporter Chris Vernon said the Lakers will regret rescinding that deal.